law now. The federal's minimum standard to be considered served or even underserved is 25. So we're really wasting our time and our money from a federal government trying to upgrade us to a substandard system. And so I'm really happy that we have representatives from DE here. That I would hope that with help from communities, the federal government, the state government, that we can find a solution to this problem. Frontier, as you've seen, has a number of customer service issues. One of the biggest that we focused on is because we understand the technology is a problem, and there's not a whole lot that they're going to do about it without a ton of money that doesn't exist. But today, we have residents that are getting phone calls and marketing literature saying, hey, sign up for this great service you got. When they call, they're either told you can't get it because you're outside the territory, or we don't have any ports available. We have to wait for somebody to get off the service before we can get you on the service. So why are we spending all of this money to build out a system that doesn't exist? When you call them to get service, you can't get it. And what we are getting doesn't even meet the minimum standard that the federal government sets, or is even in line with the standards in the Minnesota state statutes that say we want to be at a minimum of 25 by the end of 2022 and to a minimum of 100 by 2026. We're not going to get there at this rate. We've got to find a different answer. And we need to find providers who are willing to work with us and be truthful and honest with us. We sat down with Tom Muir a couple of months ago, and it was very enlightening. He came in and he told us, this is the situation. Here's where we're going.
Can you tell me who Mr. Tom Muir is?
He's the general manager of the area here from Frontier. It's very, very, very helpful. But this isn't information that is generally being shared with the public. When you call a phone number, an 800 number, you're getting somebody who knows nothing about Scandia other than the fact that because of the address, it's in Minnesota somewhere. When you say I'm having a problem with my line, well, my computer doesn't show it. They can't see what you're doing. They don't know what's happening in our communities. They're telling you that they're sending out reps. Well, they're not. When you call, well, yeah, we canceled the call because we know we can't keep you in the service. But it's on the back of the customer to take this initiative. We need to be working together, providers, communities, governments. And this isn't going to happen with the kind of communication style that's going on. We're farming out our marketing, our billing, our customer service to vendors that don't have any loyalty to a company, that are just getting paid based on volume of calls they make. We're not getting the service we need. And we can say that, yes, the internet is a separate issue from phones. But frankly, I think that's a lot of bunk, because the way that our internet is being delivered to our homes is exactly on the same lines and same infrastructure that our telephones are being delivered to our homes. So if customer service and billing is a problem on our phones, on our internet, it's going to be the same on our phones. So just because phones and landlines are becoming blasé and everybody's going to cell phones, and you're not going to have a whole room full of people here with phone problems, it's all internet issues, because that's the way the technology is moving, and that's where your customers are, and that's where the problems are. Thank you.
Thank you. Terry Kerwin.
Hello, my name is Terry Kerwin, Terrywin. First of all, I want to start off by saying thank you to all the state representatives and all the other organizations that are here looking out for the little people. We need more of that with this company. This company has they don't take the customers into consideration at all. They basically bully us, they ignore us, and they act like we have no choice, and so just take it or leave it. My story, or our story, mirrors most of your stories. We're from Onamia. We live in a rural area. We've been told you're the caboose at the end of the train, and there's nothing that's going to be done.
So it's your internet service.
It's our internet service and our phone. When they tend to fix our internet, we lose our phone. When they fix our phone, we lose our internet. When they fix our neighbors, We had lightning strike ours. That's always our problem. It seems like with lightning, the lightning struck on August 3rd. 5 or 6 of our neighbors were out. I called and told them that. They said, well, if we get enough complaints, then we'll put everyone on one day, because I was checking with my neighbors. We all had different repair dates. Then when they did come and repair my phone or my internet on August 13th, less than 24 hours later, it went down along with my phone. I called and told them that. We live in an area where our cell phone does not work really. We have to maybe go outside if we can even use it. I told them losing our phone is a priority. What if we had an emergency situation? They gave me about repair date about 8 days out. I tell them that's not acceptable. You spend all that time with customer service. You heard the stories. They transfer you to someone else. I'm not quite sure why Frontier has laid off or let 1,000 employees go. Minnesota is on an escalation freeze. I don't know if you guys know that or not. Escalation freeze means they're not going to bump up your order. That's what I was told numerous times, but after numerous phone calls, someone miraculously did manage to bump it up. When we lost it again, after numerous phone calls, some service person did miraculously bump it up. 14 days out for service is not acceptable. And just because we live in a rural area, I don't feel that's acceptable. We've been customers since it was Contel, since it was Citizens, and now it's Frontier. We live in fear every summer of losing our phone and internet. As soon as the first lightning strike happens in the spring till the ground freezes in the fall, we lose every year, we lose it. This summer, we had, in a 60-day period, we had no service for 33 days. Let's see. I already talked about this question, please. Like I said, our neighbors go through it. We have our speed is 1 Mbps or less. So we're barely above dial-up. We're on that light, as she said. To summarize, I mean, the technicians, we keep hearing the same story. They're doing upgrades. You call to get credit refunds, and they say, oh, we're having problems with our equipment. We can't process that. I've heard that we'll call you back, and they never call you back. Frontier Communications continually neglects to hold up their end of the joint service agreement with us. Just because we live in a rural area doesn't mean that we are less important customers. They greedily take our money, but fail to use this revenue to adequately maintain or improve the infrastructure in our area. We are essentially helpless victims. Frontier knows that there is no other affordable competition in our area, so they can do as they please. Their attitude is that if we don't like it, we can leave it. But for us and most of our neighbors, that is not an option. In our situation, we have to have a landline because the cell phone signal is too weak for us to use in our home. Therefore, unfortunately for us, we are reliant on Frontier. Personally, dealing with Frontier Communications this summer has been more stressful than previous summers because of the numerous outages, the lying, they constantly lie to us, the long wait times, and the 5 days of missed service. 5 out of 9 times they did not show up at our home in the month of August alone. Frontier Communication provides a utility service to the public. For this, it is not a luxury, it's a necessity. We need our phone in case of emergencies. The internet is a necessity for my job, it's part of my employment. It creates a hardship and an extra burden on our family when Frontier Communication fails to maintain their service. We're grateful to the state of Minnesota for stepping in and to assist its residents in dealing with this long-time problem with Frontier Communications. So, like I said, the rest of my story mirrors everyone else that you've heard tonight. It's pathetic how they treat us and how you have to beg and plead to try to get some service from them because we're basically at their mercy. So once again, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Ms. Kerwin, did you want to submit your statement into the record?
I can, I'll also email it. So either way, it doesn't matter.
Let's take it. Sandra and Randy Raiston.
Hi. Okay, my phone's ready to die. So, Mr. Seville, I just want to address your comment. Your first comment, it sounded like you were talking like customer services talked to me since 2008. And you said, oh, if you have an issue, if you have this, if you have that. This isn't about customer service or a broken line. This is overall bad connection. There is no fix for it. We've been told that by text. We've been told that by people on the phone. Of course, then like the lady back here said earlier, then you get the conflicting report that it's the guy at the truck fault. No, it's that fault, or it's your modem. Let's send you a modem. I want you to know though, that the poor service affects people in more ways than just frustration. It's a lot of stress involved. I've lost job opportunities. I'm a public health nurse. I turned down a job working with Philips Telehealth at home because I can't pass a speed test. I still won't. I think it's worse now, as people have said, that more people move into the area. It's an educational problem. I've had 8 children raised in my home. We're down to 1. He's actually homeschooling, but public school requires the kids to have internet service, and I haven't heard it addressed yet tonight. They're kicked off numerous times. Since we live in Taylor's Falls, my sons, who are now adults, went over to McDonald's and hopped off their Wi-Fi over there to finish their reports at night. Some of them, they go to a friend's house in town that has Mid-Continent, I think it is. Mid-Con won't come in service. We don't have an option. They're about 1,200 feet from us. We're on the wrong side of 95. Thousands of dollars, like someone else said. So I also recently went back to College of St. Scholastica, and luckily I was able to inform my professors ahead of time on the frequent disconnects, because once you log into those tests, you don't log back in without the F. So that was resolved, and I preempted that. The hundreds of dollars that have been spent to T-Mobile for using their service for communication through the years since 2008. We have duct tape on our box I'd like reimbursement for. We called 4 or 5 times. The box kept falling apart for years. Out on the highway, the Frontier guys drive by. They don't ever put them back together. I drive to St. Paul every day too, and you can pass all their boxes. They're laying all over. We taped it up finally. We just got tired of the bees making lives in there. It was hard to mow around it. We live next to the, I think you call it the Capicon Cemetery on 95 as you head into Taylor's Falls from North Branch. There's how many yards? Yards and yards of above ground cord that have been there since we moved in 2008. The boxes are open, the weeds and God knows what else is growing inside the phone boxes. Even if they are abandoned, it's an eyesore, but to my knowledge, and what I've been told, those are live telephone lines right there. I used to think that when it rained that the lines were getting wet, and I call customer service and say, you know, every time it rains, you must have a cut in the line. But then I realized it was just overload on the lines. Everybody ran in the house. Because when I did go back to school at 10 o'clock every night in the summer, everyone was going in too. Every time it's dark. At 5 o'clock, we had one up, and I think my son sent me a snap while we were out here, 0.26 down, and that is not Wi-Fi. That's plugged in. My bill's 90 something a month. I don't look anymore. I don't pay it on time because it's like a forced bill that you need it for the little bit you get out of it, but you don't want to pay it. So right now it's $270. So I'll be forced to pay the 180. I asked about dropping the phone line because it didn't work like this other lady said. If they fix the internet, the phone line doesn't work. So we all have cell phones. We don't even have a phone plugged into it. But I said, you know, maybe if I could save some money on it anyway, cut the phone line. Oh yeah, it'll be $60 a month instead of 90. So then I talked to my husband. We decided to do that. When I called back, it wasn't after all going to decrease the bill at all. We were going to stay at 90 with tax. So we didn't make any changes because we don't want the other billing issues everybody else around us has. We've been told by technicians that we're on the end of the line too. And then the funny thing is one technician will say that you're run out of Taylor's Falls, and then the other one will say you're at the end of the line from Almaland. So they can't really make up their mind. I pay for the highest speed possible. There's some rewiring they did on a box. There's 2, I couldn't understand what he meant. There's 2 lines, but it's only 1 line. And again, anytime there's an outage and you call them, then I'm required to take a day off work because of course the problem has to end up in your house. So there's just no getting around it with them. When I told them no, they pandered their way past my middle school kids and got into the house to try to find something wrong in there.
And the service windows are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. is their arrival. Anywhere in.
So with respect, Mr. Seville, one only needs to view any post Frontier makes on Facebook and see the miles and miles of complaints across the country. It's a nationwide issue. We came from Hibbing up on the Iron Range and left CenturyLink. I was never so happy when my husband said he'd moved to the cities, although Taylor's Falls is as far south as I could get him. So I could come back home and I could be modern again. I was really shocked that I have dial-up speeds or no internet access at my house. CenturyLink was doing a wonderful job in Hibbing. I'm not really sure how far and how many miles of cable they had to run to get to Hibbing. Thank you.
Greg,
Greg Zauner, Z-A-U-N-E-R. I have Frontier phone and internet because I'm forced to. I don't have cell phone service at my house because I'm in a little fringe area. Internet is pathetic. I've tried numerous pings where it's like, geez, not much happening. They'll do a ping on it, and it's hardwired from the computer to the modem, and it'll come back with, can't do it, nothing there to get a speed on. And I'll try it a few times repeatedly and nothing. We've been using tablets because the tablet with a smaller screen doesn't get a lot of the commercials and advertising, so it's a lot less data going over, so our tablets are actually faster than using our computer. Unless we're doing a document that requires a lot of typing or something, we don't use a computer anymore because of that. I've called and talked to them, the customer service, and talked to the technical department about the internet speeds. And he said, I said, well, I haven't gotten nothing. Now I finally got like a 2.1 meg, and he's, well, that's right in the ballpark. I'm like, how do we get from 6 to like 2.1? Well, at a 6 meg, you get a packet at 2.9. And as long as you get 70% of that, then you're in the normal range. I said, I don't see anything, anything about a packet. All I see is a 6 meg, and I don't get it. And I was kind of like, well, we could give you the whatever theoretical speed for an extra $50 a month. I said, well, if I can't get the 6 I'm supposedly paying for now, why would I believe I could get it, this 40, whatever I'm theoretically going to get for more money? How big of a packet would I get on that one? Well, yeah, your packet would be, whatever. And I said, so basically, if I pay the extra money, I might get the 6 that I'm supposedly getting now. And that's kind of what it almost boiled down to by the time you got a little monkey math in there. And as far as, and I've called them before, and kind of same as, the people, my phone goes down, I have the phone with them too. And you call people, you wait on hold for, 20 minutes, half hour. I'm on a cell phone that has bad reception. Chances are I'll lose them before they get hooked up, or when they do, then they'll put me on hold and disconnect. And finally getting hold to report any kind of outage is just pathetic. And then they ask the 101 stupid questions. What's a good number to call you at? This one, fix it. Oh, it won't let us put that one in. Well, if you would fix it, we won't have to worry about it. Their typical answer is when it's down, it'll be 5 days. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. One of their, I guess one of my favorite ones is when they finally did come out after 5+ days, and they said, okay, well, the problem is your call forwarding's on. I don't use my call forwarding. Well, turn it off. How do you turn it off? I don't use it. So he told me I'll turn it off. I'm like, well, it says it's off. Well, turn it on and off again. How do I turn it on? Okay. So we turn it on, turn it off. Okay, now it's off. I'm like, okay, well, it's obviously, a problem in your switch because I don't use it. Oh, is it going to work now? Well, now it says your call rejection's on. Don't use it. Same thing. Well, I'll turn it off. How do you turn it off? No, turn it on, turn it off. And after about 5 or 6 different problems that they came up with after we've gone right down the line of all these wonderful features that I don't use, okay, it works. Okay, I waited 5 days for you to find problems at your office that had absolutely nothing to do with me. And I had to go through all this just to get that, far. I've written letters to the Public Utilities Commission, the FTC, pretty much everybody. Haven't gotten a lot of results. And like everybody else, the bills kind of keep creeping up, pennies, dollars every month. You call them up, and, well, what's for this extra, $1.13? Oh, well, that's, whatever. It's like, no, I didn't agree to, this extra whatever that's on there. And, they'll make up things, they'll put them on there, keep adding more to taxes, more to their rate adjustment fee. Just keeps adding on and on. I've been with Frontier, same thing, there's nobody else around out in Scandia. Like I said, bad cell phone, I wouldn't even have the phone. Can't use a hotspot, so we're stuck with Frontier. I've had them since they bought over US West, and whoever was for the last 30 years I've been out there, and it's just been nothing but problems. Phone, no, same thing, almost monthly. I used to, the phones were getting better. It was pretty much a monthly event that something would go wrong. Either it wouldn't, pick it up, no dial tone, or you get it busy. One time it was dead, and if anybody that called my phone, they get a different recording. Phone's out of service, lines are tight, lines are busy, call back later, all these different things. So nobody knew that the phone just didn't work. I just come up with basically things that, I'm not there or whatever. So it's really frustrating, and I've been trying to deal with them for, many years now. When I first used their internet, I really debated, talking to the neighbors, all the troubles they've had with them. And so I finally switched from dial-up to them, and it was like maybe double or maybe triple the speed as what I had in dial-up.
Mr. Zoner, could I ask you to come to a conclusion?
So basically it's been nothing but trouble with everything from billing, you ask them to fix it, they send it to people, finally disconnect you, never gets solved. And when you do have a problem, it just takes forever to get it fixed. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Mr. Ken Cheney? Ken Cheney, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong, Cheney. Colleen and Ed Poschel had indicated a question mark. Paschal, would you like to speak?
Colleen Paschal, it's Colleen Poeschl. Try to make it short and sweet. We've had it since 2013. Nothing but problems from day one.
I'm sorry, internet or phone?
Sorry. We have it both bundled. I don't give a crap about the internet because I'd rather clean and organize. But my husband and my kids need it for school and work. But last year, I think it was last year, time runs by so quickly. We had the home phone, and we have a home phone for a reason, because everybody thinks it's wireless, but you need that to plug into, it's goofy. Anyway, and it was out for 9 days. I didn't have any kind of access for 9 days, and the cell phones go in and out and in and out. So you can have service and you cannot have service. Customer service is crappy. We've been hung up on. We've been told we'd be called back. None of that. We pay $115 a month. And there's nothing to show for it. It's in and out, and we have DirecTV, and it's affected by that. It goes out for a blip, and then it says it has to reboot and do all this. It's ridiculous for what you pay. Like I said, I don't care about the internet, but the phone, and like I said, my kids with their homework. I have one left with homework, but it's everything that everybody else has said too.
Thank you. Thank you. Lori Gordon. Diane Eaton?
Can I just add something to what I said real quick?
Yes, yes, you can.
My big dilemma is that I have stage 4 kidney disease and diabetes. So without phone service, it leaves us in a real big bind, and you can see why landlines really are important, you know, for elderly people. And with an internet service, you can plug a phone in, and I'm not sure if that's as fast as a landline, but if I could find that out, that would help if we ever did the internet. But from what I understand, Frontier is legally bound to service, but they told us they wouldn't put internet service on.
Thank you. John Lindell?
Thank you, Judge. John Lindell, Lindell. I live in Scandia. I have complaints about internet, phone service, and billing. Basically, I contacted Frontier a year ago to start internet service, DSL, at approximately $20 a month. And my internet service was certainly was acceptable at $20 a month. You know, we go in and out like everybody else has said. Be watching the TV and watch Joe Mauer hit a grand slam halfway to the outfield there. Oops, you lost your internet connection. Same thing with Kirk Cousins passing to Stephon Diggs. Pass in the air, and oops, your internet, your Wi-Fi, there's something wrong with your internet. Anyway, the big complaint is I can live with $19 or $20 a month, but 3 months or 4 months ago, they bumped up the price, and I call and I'd say, what's the deal? And say, oh, we'll give you a credit. And then next month I got the credit, but then they bumped up the price again. They call, give me a credit, okay, we'll give you a credit. And the next thing you know, this last time it was apparently the year anniversary, and now it's all of a sudden $15 more. I call them and I said, what's the deal? Oh, well, you've been getting a discount and now you don't qualify. And I said, well, it says right on my bill that I get discount until 2020. And no, there's a different discount. Apparently it's a hidden discount that only Frontier knows about it. And so then I filed a complaint at the FCC, an informal complaint. And they basically, FCC says, we'll facilitate communications between you and Frontier. And then we go back and forth, and the final letter I got from Frontier was, yeah, Mr. Lindell doesn't have to take our service. There's some competition out there, which is false. And so basically, Frontier is the worst telecommunications company in America. And I guess another item there was I had amount in dispute with the FCC, and they gave me a penalty of $9 because I didn't pay the $15 in dispute. It says right on the bill, you must pay everything that's not in dispute. Presumably, you don't incur a late charge. And so when I get on the phone with people, I said, well, at least take the $9 service charge off. You know, he says, no, your bill is going to be $35 from going forward. That's all there is to it. And then, and so then we talked about the $9. I says, we'll take that off. This is in dispute. No, we're not taking that off. I guess I'll summarize too that the worst telecommunications company in America, you look at their financial statements, revenues are dropping quarterly. Their losses are increasing quarterly, and they have all the regulatory people here today. If they need more money, there's an opportunity to divert, eliminate all the regulatory people and put it in invest in your network and invest in your customer service. And I guess that's my summary.
Thank you, Mr. Lindell. John Hoffman? Mr. Hoffman? Douglas Toas? Maybe I'm saying that wrong. Mr. Toas lives at on Lofton Avenue. No. Aaron Larson? Aaron Larson?
Yeah, I believe.
Okay. Joe Thibodeau?
Hi, Joe Thibodeau, it's Thibodeau. I live north of Taylor's Falls. I've been in that area for 23 years. I had DSL service come here the first month they offered it, and I've had it ever since. I was a small business customer for most of that time, and I'm still a person that works from home every day, and so I need internet, you know, at my home office, and I need it to work, otherwise I'm in big trouble. I'd say over the years I've had service, I've probably had well in excess of 100 outages between internet and phone. I have both internet and phone service. In fact, I have 2 hardline phones. One is bundled with internet DSL. So just to try and speak to some numbers, because I know there's been a request for that. The best service they can offer in our area is 6 meg. And it's been pretty good recently, but it's never been over 3 meg, ever. And I do speed tests frequently to check the line rates. I asked Frontier at one point, what do you consider acceptable minimal service? And they said, we consider that to be 1 meg. And I said, well, okay, that's 1/6 of what you're selling me. And a lot of times I didn't get 1 meg. I'd get as low as 250K, which is 1/4 of a meg on the download, and 65K on the upload. If people refer to dial-up speed, you're pretty much just about there when you're that slow. So I guess a couple of issues I have. I mean, I understand everybody needs fiber optic internet and everybody can't get it at once. But I've talked to people in their service organization up to their supervisor levels who over the years have said, oh, we can wait till March, we're going to be putting fiber in your area. And then I talked to them in March and I say, well, no, it looks like it's probably going to be the end of the year. And then finally it's like, it's going to be never. We're just not going to get fiber into your area in the foreseeable future where there's no plan for it. We can't even speak to that anymore. So one of the things I asked the reps about was, is there any future here where we're going to have better service? Doesn't look like it at this point. So just to touch on one point other people have talked about is credit and billing. So with the bad service, it's like, well, could we at least get some kind of reasonable reimbursement? And in the old days, they'd tell me, you want a credit, you have to write us a letter and document your service outage. I'm like, really? Really? I have to write you a letter. So my question is, in a regulated industry that sells phone and internet, I'm a tech guy, I work in the tech industry, have since 1980. They should be able to automate tracking on their systems of your outage time and say I'm out of service for 2 days this month. Why am I not automatically credited for 2 days service on my bill? If they did that for everyone in this room and everyone's Frontier customer around the country, I suspect it'd be costing them tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars for all that lost service time. But we're paying for that and we're not getting the service. I guess that's about all I really want to say. In close, I would say, and I've told their reps this over the years, that it's dealing with them has been the most frustration I've ever had with a company, especially a regulated service provider. So thank you.
Dean Daly on Fermi Road in Taylor's Falls. Nope. She spoke already. Elizabeth Moore.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Moore, and the last name is M-O-H-R. I'm out in Scandia. I've been working with Steve in Scandia to get real internet. I have been a Frontier customer since 2005, exactly. So for about 10 years, we paid for 6 megabytes down, 3 megabytes up. The best we would ever get is 1.5 and 0.02 for about 10 years. I now work from home full time. So when our internet goes out in Scandia, I can't do my job. I'm 24-hour on-call support for application systems. And so every time it goes down, I, like many others, have to pop up a mobile hotspot or go sit in the parking lot at a Scandia community center over by the church to get Wi-Fi to do my job. We were part of the CAF grant. We were part of the area that got the CAF grant that improved Frontier's internet and phone service. So I have a bundle, I have both. My home line has never really been usable. So when I moved out there, they said, well, the house is old, must have chewed the lines, you need to replace the line. My husband and I did that. We cut the lines in the house from where they came in the house. We ran brand new lines to one phone in the house, not multiple wireless, not multiple cordless, one wired phone. And we have never actually been able to successfully use our house phone without significant static, so on and so forth. It sounds terrible. One time the school tried to call me because one of my children was sick at school, and my line was disconnected. So they couldn't get a hold of me for 3 hours when my child was sick at school. Like I said, we got the CAF grant. I'm in the area now where I get 25 megabytes down, 3 megabytes up. That's the guaranteed rates. I do actually get those rates. My husband and I did the math. We found it took us 47 of our hours on the phone with Frontier to get that service, even though they sent us a flyer that said, you should be able to call and get it. So 47 hours on the phone of our time, 6 tickets, 5 of which were closed with no answer. They never showed up. I would call. I have 2 DSL lines to ensure I actually can work from home, and then I have phone service. Both of them have a hardwired phone line on them as well. They canceled my line before they came out to install the new service, and then had the gall to tell me that I would not be able to get service because there were no ports available. So to say the least, I got escalated quite high in the food chain there. This was after talking to Tom Murn from the Frontier, the local rep, with the Scandia Internet Community Service Survey. So to say the least, I got escalated rather high because they canceled my service before they came to install my service, but I didn't ask to cancel. I actually had 3 guarantees they would not cancel my phone and internet until the new service was in place. The problem was actually solved by our local technician, who was so tired of coming out to my house for them canceling my service and wrecking the lines. He installed the new service without authorization, sat in my house for 5 hours on the phone with their customer service rep to get it figured out after he'd already installed it. This was after it took him 5 weeks to get access to the local communications node they had just installed so that he could do this work. So, I mean, to sum everyone's point up, we've all seen it. We've all seen lost tickets, both for the phone and internet. My phone was out once for 12 days. They never came out to fix it. They just started working one day, and I called and I said, oh, do I get a credit? They said, no, we don't have a ticket that shows your service was out, so we can't give you a credit. So, I mean, again, I've been a customer since 2005. If I lived 1 mile south, I could get Midco, cable TV, 100 megabyte service up and down for $30 a month. I have 25 meg service, 3 down, 25 down, 3 up, on 2 dual bonded lines, and I pay $95 a month. That is just my internet. That is not the additional $45 for my phone, and then all the extra charges. At one time, they had to go to charge me for citywide Wi-Fi that I could access anywhere that didn't exist. They said, no, you can go anywhere in Scandia and get the Wi-Fi and hop on. And I got to call them on that, since that doesn't exist. So, you know, echo everyone's point here, we're all a little tired of it. Like I said, 47 hours on the phone, time off of work, time at home, waiting for text for them. You can get better service from them, but you have to be willing to put up a fight. I have been hung up on probably in the last 13 years, probably 200 times. When I would call and say, I have an issue, is your network, they wouldn't believe me. Between my husband and myself, we have 20 years of network administration. We could ping to their system and tell them where the problem was failing, and they wouldn't believe us and they would hang up on us. So, to say the least, Frontier has a problem. You can't usually separate your phone and internet any longer with Frontier. They only allow VoIP phones for most of us. If you've upgraded your service, your phone is tied to your internet. No internet, no phone. So, thank you.
Thank you. Patricia Dieterman. Patricia Dieterman. Josh Tope. Josh Tope. Dominic Pedro.
My dad already.
You already. Okay. Debbie Hope. Hoppy, sorry.
No problem. Debbie Hoppy, DEBBIEHOPPE, and I'm from Stacy. I want to start out on a positive note because I was spoiled. I had Mr. Tromley, the district rep at the time, who took care of all of my issues, and I had a ton of them. And then I had this wonderful guy named BJ, my Frontier tech, who literally would come out to my house anytime I called him, the day that I called him. And then they fired Mr. Tromley. But Montana's got him now. Frontier in Montana picked him up. So anyway, to today, where my issues are, we became southbound this past winter, and I called to see if I could put my internet on hold. And I was told that we were going to be gone too long and we needed to cancel and start it up when we got home. Not a problem, except I called the day after the billing cycle started, so I had to pay for a month I wasn't going to be home. I was given a cancellation number for my 2 DSL lines because we had one down at our pole barn and one up in our house. I've got this all documented. I'm not going to give you all the numbers and the money that is involved in it, but I'm going to tell you that when I got home in April and found out they had illegally taken money out of my Visa account to pay for a service that I didn't have. And then I was told by 6 different people that if I didn't return my routers, they wouldn't cancel my service. I said, where do I send them to? And they said, no, you have to send them in the box we send you. I've not gotten a box. And Frontier, I'd love it if you take these away from me tonight before I throw them in the garbage. I involved Visa, who has since collected my money back that was taken illegally. I have sent a letter to the Attorney General, which I got a response, and I also got the response of the lies that Frontier gave them, which I give you all of that. And I got a hold of the Public Utilities Commission and the Better Business Bureau. And I want you to know that I have no respect for Frontier. And as Mrs. Anderson put it so nicely, I don't want anything to do with them. And I want this Frontier box out of my house. I want nothing to do with Frontier. And I'm paying for Hughes Net, which is my only other option, for $20 more a month, and I have crap service. So when people say they don't have any other options, you don't. And believe me, I have tried, and I've tried. But this breaks my heart that we sit in this room taken advantage of by a company that lies. And I've got proof of it right here, and I'm going to give it to you. Thank you.
So Ms. Hope, you want to mark that? Thank you for your statement. Gerard Haynes. Greg Pedro, didn't I read?
Yeah, that was me.
Oh,
I mean, I'm just gonna say something real quick.
okay.
You know, I don't need the mic, I talk plenty loud enough. You know, I live up in Scandia too, you guys already heard all that. You know, when I get on the neighborhood site and I've seen all this, I know what we've been going through, sitting in here, I'm absolutely disgusted that this is even happening to this many people. It's absolutely disgusting. People should be in jail. It's that simple.
Pam Stone. It's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Corey Shannon?
Hi, Shannon Hearn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Hi, Shannon Hearn. That's HANNON, HERR. I live in Linwood Township, which is another county just across the way from Stacy. We moved here about 3 years ago. I am an IT professional. I also work from home. Never in a million years did I ever worry about the utilities of the home that I was moving into. I can share nightmare stories just as everybody else has had here. I will submit that online and give you that information because I will be a broken record. Right now, I don't know if I'm even talking to the right people in the room, but my hands are tied just by virtue of moving into a community that signed a contract with various utilities, and I can no longer get any sort of other company like Mid-Continent or anybody else to even entertain the idea of coming into our neighborhood because of the builder that had signed contracts with utilities. So I'm a second generation homeowner that has my hands tied based on a contractor that I had nothing to do with. So I know I've been paying a lot of money in taxes. I know that there's Minnesota grants to run fiber to different areas of the community. I don't understand why I'm sitting here with tied to a monopoly that I never even had a chance to say no to.
Shannon, I know I sound like a broken record, but are you
Internet, sorry, I am internet. No phone by virtue of DSL, I should say. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Teresa Lorenz. Oh, okay. Lynette Nadeau indicated she might talk. Is she here? Lynette Nadeau. Dolores Stowe indicated she might speak.
Thank you. My name is Dolores Stowe, DELORES STOE. We live in Chisago Township. We've been here 13 years. Never called the phone company until we moved here. And every bill, I've done for years, there's notes taken of who I spoke to, what I was told, what I complained about. Same old, always. In March, we went to Branson for almost a month. And I called him in April, the end of April, early in the last week, I believe. And we had so many phone problems, people couldn't reach us. Friends would say, "You've got the worst phone. Your answering machine doesn't work." Something all the time. And so we thought, well, it must be our phone. So, because Frontier told us it must have been wired wrong. Our house was built in 2002, and it must have been wrong wiring put in our house. But we don't get in-house service because it's so expensive. I think it's $40 a month, I think they told me. And anyway, so when I called to say that, to complain about our phones, they said, well, we can sell you a phone for $79 from the phone company. So I thought, oh, maybe that's a good phone. Okay, it was our 4th phone in 13 years. Kept buying new phones. And so I thought, well, maybe coming from the phone company, it'll be a good one. Well, anyway, it hasn't worked. There's 4 headsets. To go back to ordering it, I said, we're gonna be gone most of March. I don't want it, it has to come before we leave. Oh, no problem. You'll probably get it in a day or 2. Well, we left for Branson. We didn't have the phones. Thankfully, my neighbor across the street saw something on my porch a few days after we left. She said she'd seen it on, something. She thought, she didn't know we were gone. So a few days later, she picked it up, thankfully, and kept it at her house till we got home at Easter. And anyway, got them set up and everything and got through Easter. And the phones weren't working for the hood, and 2 of the headsets say out of range. 4 headsets with it, $79. So I called them and I said, the phones aren't working right. 2 of the headsets say out of range. Oh, we'll check it. Okay. So she looked back on the records and she said, well, you had over 30 days. So no, she didn't say that. She said, no, we can't, Frontier can't do anything. Call the 800 number on the phone. So I did that, and they said, well, we had it over 30 days, so it's not under warranty. Well, if we'd gotten it before we left, anyway, we're gone almost 30 days. So they wouldn't do anything either. So we're stuck with these phones that most of the time don't work. The speaker on it doesn't work. My husband has a serious hearing problem. But I talked to a nice guy at Frontier. I think his name was Matt. I've got his name at home. And he said, I would complain to him and tell him the whole story. And he was very polite. And he said, I'm going to get you a phone for hearing impaired people. He said, it won't cost you anything. They're $79 and it won't cost you anything. Couldn't believe it. And so anyway, we got it. It's clarity captioned. It's captions on there and everything. It's free to veterans, I believe, who are hearing impaired. So it was really, we thought, oh, this is going to be great. But Frontier sent out, we don't know who the tech man came out. We don't know who he was with, but we thought he would know what he was doing. He was out twice for 3.5 hours each time, had no clue what he was doing. So I called Clarity Phone and I said, this isn't really working like we thought it would. And he checked and he said, well, that's Frontier sent their tech man out. He said, they should have sent, we've got our own tech man at Clarity Caption Phones. So anyway, today I mailed the box back and my husband will get facts that he has a hearing problem and it's free. Well, anyway, now it's been since March. Frontier charges us $79 every month. I call them. They said the phone is free. They tell me, no, it's not free. And they said, so I kept calling each month, still being charged $79 a month for that phone. And anyway, they said I have to call in every month to do that. And so I called Clarity, and Clarity Phone called. They said, we'll call Frontier and explain to them that it's free to veterans with hearing issues. So as far as I know, they took care of it, but I don't know. Clarity Phone is sending us another phone. They wanted this one returned, and they will send their own tech out. So we're waiting for that. Anyway, I really appreciate you having this done tonight because it's just been a nightmare. It's just really been stressful. Thank you.
Thank you for your statements. Roy Robeson. After Mr. Robertson, there are 2 more people who indicated they'd like to speak, and then I'll offer it up opportunity to anyone who would like to have a comment. Who has this time?
Okay, thank you, Judge. My name is Roy Robison, R-O-B-I-S-O-N. I have been a customer of Frontier for 13 years, and I'd like to submit this email that I received about this hearing. I got a Frontier communication email 28 hours before the hearing, which is strange because I know the Public Utilities Commission had emailed out the same hearing information back in July, and I did not get anything in my billing information from Frontier either. So luckily, I was on the email list with the Utility Commission, and I knew about this ahead of time. Otherwise, I would have only had 28 hours to know before the hearing if I could submit that.
Yes.
I have both Frontier phone and internet. And
Your first document says Exhibit 19.
Thank you, Judge. We have both Frontier phone and internet. Both my personal home, I have 2 lines, and I have 3 lines for my business. I have 2 points to make. One is the billing practices. I won't get into details. It's been brought up already, but every month my bill changes. It could be anywhere from 25 cents to $1 more a month, and with no explanation. I don't have hours to sit on the phone and going through 3 or 4 different people to get an explanation and then not knowing to fix it. So I just have to put up with it. The other thing was when I first signed up with Frontier and got the DSL internet connection, they had promised me a year price locked in. However, after 6 months, they had increased the price without any notification. And I found out about this 8 months into the contract, and I brought to their attention to basically would have said, it's just too late. They can't do nothing about it. But because I nagged them, made several calls, I finally did get someone to admit that it was their fault, and they gave me credit. I get my bills paid automatically, and I just wonder how many people follow their monthly bills that closely. People getting nickel and dime every month, multiply that by hundreds of thousands of customers, that adds up to a lot of money that's going into their pockets. The most important thing I just want to bring up was we have phone interruption, no service at all. Sometimes for the last 10 years, it happens dozens of times every year for no reason at all. We lose our phone and internet service for minutes, hours, or days. It's not weather related. It can happen on a Sunday morning. It could happen in the evening. And whenever I spend 15, 20, 25 minutes to call them, get a job ticket number, there's no explanation of why the phone just stops working. In fact, because of the poor cell service, I have to get in my vehicle, drive 2 miles over to Osceola where there is phone service, because when there's an outage, I live in Schaefer, Minnesota on Highway 95. When there's an outage, it's a big one. It's from Schaefer, Minnesota to Lindstrom, sometimes all the way down to Marina and St. Croix. So it's not like I can go to my neighbors and use their phone. I have to literally drive 2.5 miles over to Osceola and use the payphone to spend a half hour to get a job ticket. I think that's just ridiculous. Luckily, I do have a cell phone now through the business that works most of the time. Last June, I had 3 outages that lasted an average of 2.5 hours. In my business, when someone comes in and with a credit card wants to pay their merchandise with a credit card, I cannot do it, and I lose the sale. And there's no recourse. Frontier is the only option where I live. And I know you've heard this before, but I just want to go on the record of saying that. Also, just for the record, I counted at least 100 people in this room. And I wonder how many more people there could have been if they were correctly notified about this hearing. It would have been an auditorium and probably would have taken 3 times longer. So I guess that's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to say that main problem is there's no phone service sometimes for hours or days. What happens if there's a medical emergency or my house was on fire? Is it going to take a class action lawsuit to fix this? I take care of my 83-year-old mother, and I've had 2 times where I had to call 911. And I thank God that at least the phone was working at that time. But what happens next time? And there's no recourse. Like I said, cell phone reception is iffy at best. There's no other recourse here. We've got to get this fixed.
Thank you. Anita Jones?
I am Anita Jones, I spelled A-N-I-T-A, J-O-N-E-S. I live in Bethel. And
Ms. Jones, you submitted exhibit number 20 to us.
Okay, thank you. So I'm here to complain like everybody else about our internet service. We have internet and phone as well. So it's both. I own a business installed in my home, and the internet goes in and out constantly. I mean, some days we're going 3, 4, 5, 10, 12, 14 times a day. And it's just ridiculous. I've lost 3 potential clients because of it, and which really made me mad. And then, it can go out for days as well. And we'll call and make an appointment, tell them about it, say, oh yeah, we can't get there till, I don't know, Tuesday or Wednesday, we're calling on Friday. So I'm like, I can't wait that long. I have a business to run. I have clients, that we use the internet for this reason. They don't want to call me. They want to send me emails. They want to chat with me on Facebook. They don't want to talk to me on the phone. And my phone is on the same thing. It's gone out as well, and it's been out for days. And I have a mother-in-law who is 88 years old and lives in a different home over in North Oaks, actually. And she doesn't want to live with us because she wants to be independent. And but we can know when something happens to her. When her phone is out, we don't know. We even have her set up to Link or whatever it is, and that we're the ones that's supposed to call. How they're supposed to call us if the phone is out. So it's really frustrating, and so that's pretty much the same thing as everybody else has been saying. It's just people are losing money in their businesses and their jobs. Families dying and they don't know. I mean, it's really kind of frustrating.
Thank you. Is there anybody who signed indicating they wanted to talk whose name I didn't call? Is there anybody who didn't sign up to speak but now would like to share some thoughts with us?
I will.
If you could start off with thank
Lisa Klein, K-L-E-I-N, and it's internet. The same with everyone else. We built a home in 2017, so Frontier had to hook up to us, and ever since we've just been through misery. And we currently, before that, lived in North Ranch, so maybe 10 miles away from where our new home is, and we had CenturyLink. Never any issue ever. So it was quite a shocker to go from something that was great to something that is unbearable. And as the gentleman up here stated earlier, we paid $20 to get a new customer, which was fine at that point because it's like it's $20 are barely getting a service, but it's $20, we can tolerate it. And that promotion was supposed to go to 2020, which is listed on our bills. And then all of a sudden, March of this year, our bill went up. No explanation. When I called, they said, oh, they removed it. Okay, why? Well, we don't know. You need to call and talk to Michelle, who's a local representative. But if anyone's tried getting a hold of her or leaving voicemails, you never get a call back, which is discouraging because I would hope that someone who's local would have a little more compassion for a resident in the same area. Versus dealing with the 1-800 number, I just expected more customer service from someone local. And to your point earlier with storms, our issues haven't been with storms, it's just constantly dropped. We've recently, after several disputes with Frontier, been informed that we are able to get a higher internet speed. Currently, we're only at the 6. But my question that Frontier couldn't answer is, okay, we're eligible for 22, but if our service is constantly dropping, why am I going to pay more for something that I may not even get? And they can't guarantee that for me, so I'm willing to pay more if I'm actually going to get the service. If I'm not going to get the service, I don't want to pay more. One of the other statements that Mr. Sullivan stated was the older technology. My home was built in 2017. My cable should be good. There should be no updates needed. So I just feel like we're hearing a lot of excuses, even from the representatives here tonight, from customer service, but there's no actions being taken to resolve it. And it's coming down to this, which quite honestly is pathetic, especially given people saying they've been customers since 2005. And you know, as a child, I actually grew up in one, so we had dial-up, and I dealt with taking time tests and trying to get them done before internet was lost then, and that was Frontier back then, and they're back to haunt me now that I'm older, and the actual consumer paying the bill. And again, it's just across the board. It's customer service, it's billing, the drop service. Even one of our last phone calls was to have a technician come out, and the window was 8 to 4. Are you kidding me? That's normal working hours. I can't take a whole day off work to deal with that when they could come at 4, so I wouldn't even need to take the day off. A smaller window at least would be nice. And they had asked me, well, what did the technician say that was out there last time? I said, you tell me, because he never came into my home. So I said, what do your records say? And they said, well, we don't share that data. You can't tell me what your representative found while they were at my home, but didn't even come inside to look and figure out if there was an issue within my home. There's some miscommunication within Frontier as well in your structure and how customer service is done and problems are resolved. So again, I'm kind of babbling, but it's just the same as everyone else. It's frustrating, and I've only been with them for 2 years. I just feel for the people I've been with them longer. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to? Yes, sir.
Brian Carlson, again, just a PS to the gentleman went back. I too got my notice yesterday.
So I think everybody who's wanted to comment has had an opportunity. At this point, Mr. McCarthy, do you have anything you'd like to tell people?
On behalf of the Public Utilities Commission, I'd like to thank the people who have stayed and who did offer up both written and oral testimony tonight. You can go to the website and follow this case as it proceeds. A small slip of paper on the table right by the door on the outside exit. We'll give you the address to do that. And we do have a Consumer Affairs office that will help you if you have trouble locating those materials. I think that's all for small amount.
Thank you. Mr. Seville?
Thank you. Again, appreciate, and you've been here a long time tonight, and you know it's been difficult for me. It's been difficult for the other Frontier representatives to hear some of the, I guess, bad service that you've received. And again, I know it's not going to address your issue immediately, but I do apologize for the problems that you've encountered, and whether it's a billing issue, customer service rep hanging up, or treating you rudely in any way. As I said, I can't make up for that, but I do apologize on behalf of the company. And I would again encourage you, if you have a service issue or a problem, and you haven't spoken to one of our reps, please do so. Give them your information. We will follow up with you. You have the company's commitment that we will investigate the issue that you identified, and someone will call you or follow up with you and respond to whatever the concern is that you've identified. So again, thank you for your patience. Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Dobson, do you have any comments you'd like to make?
I guess I'll just say thanks for coming out. It's late, and I appreciate you guys coming here. This is basically our opportunity to listen to you and hear what the issues are that you guys are having. So you take time out of your lives, and we appreciate you doing that.
Mr. Doyle? Mr. Doyle has no comments. So I want to thank you very much. I have 3 more hearings to conduct. The last hearing is on September 26th, I believe. And then start working on my report. It's going to help me writing my report a lot, even though you've seen me taking a lot of notes. It's going to help me to have the transcript. It'll be some time after that last hearing before that transcript is prepared. Once I have the transcript, my time clock starts, and I'm instructed to write my report in 30 days. I'm actually a retired contract judge, so that's not a big threat. But I'm going to try to get it done in 30 days. And so I would think middle of November is a reasonable time to start thinking my report should appear. I too want to thank you for coming. It's gone long. Really appreciate your perseverance in sticking with us. We're adjourned.